Well, I think we're going to get started if Mike is okay with that. And really appreciate everybody getting up so early. I know there's some of you that just makes it real difficult in the morning. Good to have Wade Patton with us. I think Wade generally doesn't get up until about 8, if I understand correctly. And,
wow.
I know. Sorry, Wade. Run you under the bus right away. But really glad that you guys were able to find us this morning. My name is Joe Duran, and I want to welcome all of you guys to our monthly meeting of Catalysts here in Modesto. Especially during this time, I think this is a appropriate meeting for us to be gathering together and as you know, as community leaders and as individuals that care about our community so much. So we'll be able to go through some topics I believe they're going to be really relevant. Some online meeting expectations, and usually during this time, I'll go ahead and announce some stuff that we want to basically go ahead and put into play. Number one is to not let the other people mute me, since I'm the person that is really the one that's kind of being the host here. So I need both of the guys, John Torres and Mike, not to mute me, please. Marvin too, please don't mute me. But besides that, seriously, number one, grace for everyone who's on this, because we're still learning through this, trying to figure out what's the best way that we can gather and still have the really kind of the type of content, as well as to continue the relationships that we have through virtual. I know that I've even been dreaming in Zoom, which is crazy. You know, I had a dream the other night, and my daughter was in one box, my wife was in another box. I think Randy Clark was in another box, and then Doug Ridenauer. It was weird, you know. So I know a lot of us are burned out on Zoom, but it's been great in many ways for us to be able to do that. Please mute yourself for audio. Feel free to use chat. I think the chat's really important, that we're able to communicate and respond live that way. And then recognize that today's meeting is recorded. So you might want to be deliberate in regard to, you know, any comments that are made, because it will be kept. Good from Sandy's already said good morning, Catalyst. So Sandy's already jumped on that. One thing that we'd really like for you to do, as we always say, is to go to City Ministry Network Facebook page and to like us, if you like us, you know, which is really important. As I always, you know, I'm not going to go off on a tangent with that, okay? And then also let others know about Catalyst. I think this is, again, an important meeting, obviously, for many of us. And we look forward to possibly, maybe soon, being able to get together face-to-face again in some capacity, or work towards that, you know, as things change, hopefully for the better. So the purpose of Catalyst for us is, our hope is that you will connect with each other and share your vision and passion, and to be able to build trust and relationship and understanding, so that we all can work together to impact our community in a way that really improves it and puts us on a trajectory to have the best community that we can have. So with that, I'm going to start off a little bit light here, and I'm going to utilize this exercise right now to help us use the chat part. So that's important. So I'm going to do one of these quick creative trivias. We did it last time, and I thought it worked pretty well. So we'll just try it again really quickly. So these are some tough questions. So the first one I'm going to throw out, and I need you to get ready with your chat fingers. I guess that's what those are called, chat fingers. Anyway, which U.S. president appears on the front of the $2 bill? So go ahead and start maybe just reacting to that with chat, and we'll see if there's any of you out there that know who is on the $2 bill. Thomas Jefferson. Wow, man, that was quick. We had three of you guys. Leotti to me might have missed it. Are you going to? Yeah, okay, that's something else. So yes, we are.
Spent a lot of time at the racetrack as a youth.
Yeah, there you go, Tom. Okay, so what year did World War II end?
Yes, it did.
There it is.
So then will you mute me when I finish praying?
There it is, 1945. Got
Or
it.
I do that.
So let's go ahead and do one more. Let's see.
Okay, very good.
Okay, this is good. How many U.S. states are needed to ratify an amendment for it to become part of the Constitution? Sandy, close but wrong, 42. Anybody else? It's a tough one. I told you it'd be tough. Sandy, 43. Sandy's going in the wrong direction. John Torres, these questions are too hard. And that's right. No. Yeah, so the answer, that's 38, by the way, 38. So with that, let's go ahead and thank you for using your chat fingers so we can really move into our next section. So I'm going to.
You didn't acknowledge me. I got it right. You need to say,
Who did?
hey, I did.
Marvin?
Yeah.
I'll have to go back since this is being recorded because I didn't see it.
Okay.
I don't know if you use your Google to just look it up really quick too, and that's not. John Torres
Right.
just said, "Give me some Star Wars trivia or something." John, you can do it next time. That's cool. Let's go ahead and pivot right now. I think it's important that we recognize, of course, where we are as a community and as a nation, and really, in light of that, really kind of gather together like we are and reason together and listen and learn together. So I'm going to ask Dr. John Walker to go ahead and open us up in prayer. Dr. Walker.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I would like to begin with a verse that my wife suggested. It's from the Amplified version of our Holy Bible, and it's Romans 8:26. So too, the Holy Spirit comes to our aid and bears us up in our weakness, for we do not know what prayer to offer, nor how to offer it so worthily as we ought. But the Holy Spirit himself so meet our supplication and pleads in our behalf with unspeakable yearning and groanings too deep for utterance. My brothers and sisters, please reach out. Hold your hand out, your hands out as we speak, because although we are socially distanced, let us reach out in unity. Our Father God, we come to you with heavy hearts. We lift up our city, our county, our state, our country, and our world during this very, very difficult time. Father, we grieve over the issue with this man who has lost his life, that has set off demonstrations and protest and riots and looting and divisions within our country. Father, we pray during this time of tremendous heartache for social justice, for equality, for healing, for comfort and protection In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thanks, Dr. Don. Really appreciate those words and that prayer. I think it's appropriate right now also to maybe have Doug right now from our city, maybe make a couple of comments. Doug, if you could do that.
Thank you, Joe, and hello, everyone, and welcome, everyone. I just want to make just a few comments about where, as a city, but also to talk about the catalyst that has, for years, brought this community together, and to recognize that never in my life as a police officer for over 40 years have I seen the unity that in this country and even around the world over such a tragic incident that shouldn't have happened. And why I say that is because I know of no one that has said to me anything but Mr. Floyd should not be dead. That, as tragic as that is, I think we have the ability to understand the significance of what a lot of folks like Catalyst has been diligently trying to do, is to prepare us as a human community that recognizes that we're a failed community, we're going to sin, but there's an opportunity here, I think, not to allow certain people to hijack this event of lawlessness and to ignore the significant impact of this possibility of bringing our world together, and especially our community. Back in 2000, I experienced we in Modesto experienced a similar situation where we had a white police officer accidentally kill a 12-year-old boy that was complying. It was an accident. It turned out to be an accident. And because of what Catalyst had done and some of the folks that are in this room today with our clergy, we were able to get together as a community and move forward from that. And my hope is that we will be able to do the same thing. So and just to let you know some of the significant things about our policy here in Modesto, I want to read the policy of duty to intercede. Any person or any officer observing another officer using force that is clearly beyond which is objectively reasonably under the circumstances shall, when in position, intercede, meaning that that situation in Modesto probably unlikely would have ever happened, because we would have known and we're taught and trained in California that if we don't take action, that we're going to potentially be in jail just like the primary officer was. And finally, I just want to make a comment about what the chief just sent out, Chief Galen, and I'd like to read it if I could, report clearly about values. And it's the values of the police department for hiring and promoting. He looks at a servant's heart. I expect people to treat others like they would want their family treated, and to be there for the community, to truly serve others. His second point, courageous spirit, which is less about physical courage because it should go with the job, but rather moral and ethical courage to stand up when something isn't right and stop it. And finally, his value of relentless drive, which is the drive to work hard and constantly get better. He has these challenge coins that he hands out to officers that have all of those leadership examples on that coin for them to constantly look what he expects, what the city of Modesto expects. And I would just ask all of us, don't allow those who want to hijack this moment in lawlessness for us not to come together as a community and become better over this tragic situation that should never happen again. Thank you.
Thanks, Doug. Appreciate that. So we're going to have an opportunity now to actually go into breakout rooms. And so it's going to be groups of 5 that are kind of randomly picked. And so in about a minute, you'll be put in that room. And the question we want to go around the room is introduce yourself and share your name and describe, if you can, in one word, what type of community that we want. What would Modesto, Stanislaus County aspire to be a community? What words come to your mind? So anyway, I was thinking of the word for myself, a unified people. But anyway, Mike, if you want to go ahead and break us up. And so again, share your name, a little bit about yourself. Then the question is, what word would best describe your hopes for what our community could be like in the years to come? Okay? I believe we're back, and hopefully you guys all found that to be a great exercise to spend some time with people. I certainly, I was with Twain Hart and I was with Ruben, and had some great conversation there. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to go ahead and let me go ahead and introduce our speakers for the day. And there are 3 community leaders that that know our community, that are working in our community, that are serving our community. And the question has been posed to them: what changes they see need to happen in the future in order for us to really move forward. So we're going to hear first from Jody Hayes, who's our county CEO, and then Kristin Olsen, who's on our county board of supervisors, and then finally Ruben Imperial, who is our current mental health director. And these interviews have been recorded, and Jody and Kristin had prior commitments, so they can't be here, but Ruben will be here. And so we will be able to ask questions to Ruben through chat, and then let Ruben go ahead and answer them. So Ruben, really appreciate you being here and filling in for everybody else. So why don't we go ahead and get started with Jody speaking on leading the county during the pandemic.
Hi, everybody. Jody Hayes, Stanislaus County CEO. I've got a few great questions I want to ask or answer for City Ministry Network. The first is, as County CEO, how have you worked to balance the dual threat the virus poses to the public health and our financial well-being? That is definitely at the core of this entire emergency response, making sure we honor and respect what the true public health emergency is, what does the data and science tell us, and what is the financial impact to this community? We all know that the financial impact hits those most vulnerable in our community first. So we're very concerned about making sure that we're not overreacting in our public, while also trying to support and to try to keep our public health as strong as possible. So it's been a huge challenge for us. I hope that all of you, if you could see all the details and the data and all the modeling and all the public health experts that weigh in. We have the best public health officer that I know of, and she does a great job advising us as our medical doctor. And I think we've done the best job we can trying to make that balance. But I'm sure we will look back over time and always second guess what could we have done a little bit different here. Another question was, as you reflect over the last months regarding your team, what are you most proud of, and where have you discovered gaps to shore up? Well, I'm most proud that the entire community has stepped up. I've got all kinds of nice things to say about the team I work with, but literally the team in this case has been the entire community of Stanislaus County stepped forward. Had we not stepped forward and honored the social distancing standards and the stay-at-home orders, we would be having a completely different conversation today. So I'm very, very proud of that. In terms of things that we can shore up, to be honest with you, it's relationships. We rely so heavily on relationships in our community, and I have 100 good examples of how relationships served us well here, but I also have examples of, man, if we did a better job with some of these relationship issues offline prior to an emergency like this, we would be even better situated for that emergency itself. So I look forward to getting back in the room with many of you in the future and further developing those relationships. And then the last is, what is the most important issue the pandemic has highlighted for the county government or the private sector should address immediately? And I just want to say this: recovery brings opportunity. So we are switching to more of an emergency support and recovery mode right now. That brings opportunity. And the more connected we are as a community on what our shared vision is for Stanislaus County, the better situated we're going to be to bring in resources to this valley, to this community, to support Stanislaus County. There are other communities that have done a really, really good job of developing shared vision for themselves on what success looks like. We need to do that better here, and it's going to help us recover better in the emergency response. So those are my quick 3 questions in 3 minutes, and I hope you guys are all having a great day. Please stay safe.
Great, thanks. Obviously, this was recorded probably about 2 weeks ago, I think, if I remember, Mike, if that's correct. So we were really focusing on the pandemic, as we should be, and we need to continue to be. Let's go ahead and hear from Kristin speaking on the economy and jobs during the pandemic. I know that's affected quite a bit of our community.
Hi, Catalyst. I'm Kristin Olsen, Chair of the Stanislaus County Board of Supervisors. I hope each of you are doing well, despite the challenges associated with COVID-19 and the stay-at-home orders that we've been under over the last few months. We know that many people are facing real challenges in our community. Unemployment, for example, is at an all-time high of 17% or more. We have yet to see whether these are short-term challenges or long-lasting. But we are pleased that we are beginning to enter the economic recovery phase of our situation. Several business types across the county have now been allowed to reopen under safe social distancing protocols. Supervisor Terry Withrow and I have been appointed to an ad hoc committee of the board for economic recovery planning. We will be developing strategic plans on how we as a county can come alongside businesses and nonprofits to help them not just survive the challenges, but thrive once again and provide the jobs that so many people across our county rely on to feed their families, to pursue additional opportunities. We know that part of economic recovery involves instilling consumer confidence so that consumers feel safe when they go out and visit establishments once again. To that end, we've developed a Good to Go program working with business leaders, nonprofit leaders, creative leaders, faith-based leaders across our county. If you go to goodtogostanislaus.com, and 2 is the number 2, www.goodtogostanislaus.com, you'll find all the guidelines for safe reopenings, as well as a free online training tool. It's 30 minutes long. And if over 80% of the employees in a business take this training, then that business or nonprofit is provided with a marketing toolkit, which includes a window decal saying the business is good to go, social media badges, and other creative ideas for reaching out to your customers and letting them know that they are safe visiting your establishment. We're also exploring new economic opportunities. For example, reaching out to Silicon Valley companies. So many of Stanislaus County residents commute to the Bay Area every day, or did before the stay-at-home orders, in order to work. So talking to those companies to see if they'll open satellite offices here in our community so people can work from their own home communities, which is safer and a better quality of life. We're also ideally situated in Stanislaus County for growth within the logistics sector and are exploring opportunities there. Mostly, we need your ideas. So please reach out to either Supervisor Withrow or myself and provide us with your ideas on how we can come alongside to support businesses and nonprofits in our community so that we can get through these challenging times in a strong and vibrant way. Have a great day.
Fantastic, thank you. So finally, we're going to go ahead and have Ruben and Carol speak on mental health in our county during the pandemic, which I think is obviously very, very critical as so many, I mean, our whole community, right, is in distress in many ways, and it's impacting so many people. So Ruben, if we could play the video for Ruben, and then if you could begin to write questions that you might have for Ruben so that he can answer those, I think that'd be great. So let's go ahead and have Ruben, and then we'll go from there.
My name is Imperial, and I'm the Behavioral Health Director for Stanislaus County. We are the county's mental health and substance use disorder treatment, as well as the public guardian for the community.
Reflecting over the last few months, what have you learned about the mental health and well-being of people?
And I think what we've learned and what we're seeing is that, you know, one, there is a lot of folks that are doing well, that are overcoming, that are resilient, that have tapped into the supports and the things that they've done to maintain their mental health through their lifetime. And they're tapping into those resources. They're connecting with families, with faith, their friends. You know, they're overcoming. But we also know that in addition, that there is some of us that the supports we had before COVID-19 in terms of maintaining our mental health are just not right now for whatever reason, not enough. And we, in addition to the faith, the family, the friends, the community, we need additional professional help or professional support. And of course, as a mental health department, our number one focus has been, folks with severe mental illness, especially for the county mental health department. It's for folks with severe mental illness. So these are folks that we're really concerned about. And, as part of our future and what we think is going to be important moving forward is that for all three of these populations, whether it's those folks that are doing well, we need to continue to be of support to them in ways that make sense so that they continue that mental health. For some folks that need a little bit more extra support right now, how do we connect them to their health plan, to their health provider, to county mental health if needed? And then for the folks that we are currently served that have, substantive severe mental illness, how we can continue to provide treatment to them in an effective way in this new world of physical distancing and all the complexities that we have to face in terms of keeping everybody safe. So
what strategies are you considering as you prepare communities and your team to heal from the psychological, emotional, and social strains that the virus has imposed on people?
As an organization right now, we are currently beginning to think about how do we as an organization be of support to our community. I will say, though, what we know now is we're not going to be able to do it alone as an organization. And we are going to need partnerships. We're going to need our neighborhoods. We're going to need our faith sector. We're going to need our business community, our educational partners, our healthcare partners. We can't, address this oncoming mental health crisis that's coming alone. And this is an important conversation to have with our faith sectors. And, the research and what we know about the way folks experience a mental health concern is they're going to see the pastor in a church is going to see the first signs or have those first conversations at times about someone's mental health issue 2 to 3 years before that person enters the professional mental health system. So whatever we can do to equip pastors, to work with pastors and faith leaders and spiritual leaders, to help them understand how they can be of support in that moment of crisis when that member first starts to talk to them about a mental health concern, and how they can connect folks with the appropriate level of care. We feel that in terms of the faith sector, it's a strategy that we feel is very important as we develop our overall strategies and plans to address this issue as we're emerging out of the COVID-19 crisis.
What specific challenges do you see ahead for BHRS?
Well, obviously at a time like this, there are many challenges, and whether they're fiscal with our budget, whether just the amount of need all at the same time is something that, of course, is concerning to us. And but overall, I think the newness of this and the fact that our community has not experienced something like this is overall another concern. And the hope for us, though, and as we've learned through navigating the initial response and the response that's consistently and currently going on right now, is that our community, we have partners, I think, that we can reach out to, and whether it's to learn, to gain insight, or even act together to support community health together, is our hope, is what I feel we got going for us in our community. So my invitation to the faith sector here is I think at times in our histories or in our conversations, at least from my own experience in our community, when we talk about mental health, when we talk about mental illness, whether it's the mental health department and the faith sector, in our community, we've been having these types of conversations for well over a decade now, I think. And we're going to have to rely on those partnerships and those ways of being support to each other. And whether it's providing insight or feedback or partnerships where we're actually working together to support mental health in our community, I think that's the glimmer of hope that we have right now.
Great. Thanks, Ruben. Are we going to be able to put Ruben on the screen also with me? Mike, is that possible? There he is. Hi, Ruben. Hey, got a couple of questions that have been coming in. One is, what's Stanislaus County's effort to get the court's assistance to get mental health for the most critically ill? What can be done to help that?
Say that again, Joe. I'm having the other volumes are fine. It's you. I can't hear very well. Can you talk a little louder, please?
Sure. Is that better? Can you hear me better?
Yeah.
Okay. What is Stanislaus County's effort to get the court's assistance to get mental health help for the most critically ill?
Oh, thank you. Thank you for that question. Yeah. So our department, we have a few programs that work directly with our criminal justice system and our court system. And we actually have mental health treatment programs embedded within our jail as well as our day reporting center. So as far as overall, we have programs that are very specific to working with individuals within the criminal justice system that have a severe mental illness and that could benefit from treatment. So that work is very strong. We have a lot of good partnerships here. The second part of this, which I think most folks, when asking about courts and the interaction of mental health in court, is related to conservatorship and some of the other things we do in terms of when individuals their mental illness is so severe that they require services and treatment, and that treatment is often mandated through what's called our conservatorship process. And that process is involving, communicating to the court and to the judge that this person's mental health issues are so severe that they are unable to take care of themselves. And, so we have a pretty robust and engaging process. I could say that over the last 3 to 4 years, the number of individuals that we are working with directly with the courts to provide this level of treatment has significantly increased. So I actually will be speaking to our board and to the community about this probably in the next 3 to 4 months, and about what we've learned about over the last 3 or 4 years, the significant increases in the number of people that we've had to go to the court system and communicate to them that these folks, their mental illness is so severe, they've been living homeless for so long and just not in a very good place, and having to what we call put a conservatorship on them, which allows us to put them in a secure facility where they receive treatment. And it is against their will. It is something that we have to go to the courts to do. So those are the two things that we do. And in both those cases, over the last 2 to 3 years, we've seen some significant increases in the amount of work that we're doing in that area.
Great, thanks. Another question here. With everything that's going on, obviously just a double whammy, and just all the events that are happening, they're causing major stress and issues, throughout our country. How are you in the middle of this as one of our leaders and your staff doing? I mean, how do you guys cope with everything?
Yeah, I talked to our staff the other day about, as mental health providers, we're supporting the community, and we have continued to. We've never shut down. We continue to go out into the field. We continue to provide treatment services in our clinics. We've transitioned a lot of our services to telehealth in a very rapid way. So yes, as we support our community and those with severe mental illness and helping them get through this process, we're also experiencing the crisis ourselves. And I will say, just as with, I imagine, many in the community, there's some of us that are doing very well. The connections, the things we've done to maintain our mental health are continuing to support us through this crisis. And then there are some folks that I know that in our organization, as within the community, that we are having to find ways to be extra supportive to each other. And, I think personally, this is probably a once in a career or once in a lifetime event. I know I've talked to Jody about this. You never thought that we would be in a position where being in a leadership role in our county government and having to respond and to organize the resources and the assets of our departments and organization in a way to respond to such a huge crisis is pretty challenging. And, we serve over 10 to 12,000 people a year. We have a large number of people, thousands of people that we serve that have severe mental illness, and we can't walk away. We can't just go, hunker down. We've got to continue to go out and provide mental health treatment services. And often, the crises are even be escalating for our clients. So it is a challenge. I will say that there's a wave of adrenaline, and there's the crisis, and there's the response. And I've never been so proud to be part of a team, especially with our county behavioral health department, that literally transitioned and transformed. I mean, we've been talking about telehealth and increasing the way that we go to clients versus making them come in. We've been talking about this for 10, 15 years in the mental health field. I couldn't be prouder of the work that our leadership has done, and literally almost over the weekend, transforming our whole mental health system in a way that was able to continue to provide treatment services to our community. So I think, though, as the adrenaline and as the initial response, kind of unfolded, you kind of going through this next wave of, wow, how big this is, and the impact it's having now on the economy and other aspects of our community, where we're now responding and have put structures in place to respond to the health pandemic and the isolation that we need to do. But we're now organizing ourselves to prepare for what's the mental health pandemic that's coming. And I don't use that term lightly. I don't think we've seen a time in our history where we've, isolated in such a way and had the economy at the same time, the projections of the economy that are coming. So there's these waves and ebbs and flows. I will say, though, that as we share with everyone else, it's so important that you're so intentional right now about building support in your life and being intentional. This is not a time just to let it happen. And the second thing, if folks, that have struggled in times past, make sure you're reaching out to them. And that's what we're doing as staff as well, just making sure that we're building support, we're working together and reaching out to folks when needed as well. So.
Hey, really, really appreciate, Ruben, the time that you shared with us. I just want to I'm thinking back as you were sharing. We were at a Christian Community Development Association meeting years ago with Dr. John Perkins, and and all the good training and all the great stuff that we heard. And we talked about a time where we might be able to exercise the gifts that God has given us. And here we are, 6 years later, 7 years later. Who would have imagined that we'd be able to be used in such a way? And you have just been a tremendous asset to our community, and we're so proud of you. So thanks for everything. Really appreciate you and support you.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. Mike?
Morning, Catalyst. On your screen, you're going to see a slide that just says, give us some feedback. And so what I would ask you to do is to write down that number, the 916-345-2524. And what we're asking you to do is just text the message CMN to that number. And what it does is it gives you a link back. It just says, thanks for doing this, gives you a link back, and there are 4 questions. And we really would like feedback from you, finding out what's working, what's appealing to you, what your needs are. There's just various questions we ask each month. And so if you would take about 15 seconds, write down that number, and then as we move on, you can go ahead and fill out those 4 quick questions. So I'm going to let you be silent for about 15 seconds, and then Marvin will come on and he will close us out.
Thanks, Mike. And I think Ruben's still on the line. Thank you. So listen, I want to let you behind the curtains a little bit for Catalyst, because then I'm going to, as cool social workers are saying today, we're going to pivot. We generally plan Catalyst about 6 months in advance, and then COVID-19 hits, and man, we're like everybody else, we're scrambling, trying to identify the most immediate needs, the interests, the concerns that our community has, and do the best we can to create a forum and a place to have those conversations or give input, to communicate. When we started, I know with City Minister Network, we got the team together and we basically told the men and women that we wanted to we want to exit the season stronger than when we entered it. And so what might that look like? So again, letting you behind the curtains, City Minister Network with other organizations around town, we have scrambled to deal with the insecurities of housing, food insecurities, job insecurities. We have been a participant with the county to invest about $1.6 million into small businesses and nonprofits, and there'll be more coming. We have fragmented communities, so they needed better alignment and coordination with the county. So we've been right in the middle of working to coordinate and align the Latino community, the faith communities, the mental health agencies to come together and try to figure out how the best we can to deal with the things that are right in the face of people. Because we did want to exit this season of the COVID virus stronger than when we entered. And then George Floyd happened last week. So the virus of systemic racism hits us. And people on both sides of the police shields or both sides of the protesters, or, from your perspective, whatever you want to say, it hit us. And it hit us a week ago. And again, behind the scenes, we decided, let's just stay where we are. And since I get the last word, I'm going to bring up George Floyd. And men and women, it's not about George Floyd. I didn't write down a manuscript, so I'm making this up as I go here with my little notes. This is about us. This is about the virus of systemic racism. It is about some of us, and I want to point to myself as well, at times ignoring or looking another way or excusing or blaming. And I want to encourage you, as I have talked to men and women, it has been an anguishing last 4 or 5 days. Many of you know I do have trusted relationships and people in all kinds of neighborhoods and different levels of leadership. And some of them are angry, some of them are hurt, some of them are grieving, and rightly so. I mean, the emotional gamut it's all over the map, and rightly so. They're emotionally exhausted. And many of us who listen to men and women in our community and who are trying to understand are emotionally exhausted. Of course, and again, I'm getting phone calls with all kinds of different questions. Help me understand. I'm curious. I don't get it. Why are people wrecking things? Why? I mean, it just runs the gamut. I have a dear friend. He's in a lot of ways a son to me, and he's just devastated and angry. And he's angry. And you know this as well as I do, and I'm not blaming anybody because we're not here to do that. If George Floyd had been a standalone event, maybe we could dismiss it, but it's been a long time. Someone said to me yesterday, well, we're just going to let the wheels of justice roll before I make a decision. And my response to her was, oh, okay, well, now you're going to wait 60 years? Because this has been going on for, I can remember as a kid in 1965. So what, you're going to wait 50 years for the wheels of justice? I mean, those are the kind of conversations. And I'm doing the best I can, and City Ministry Network is doing the best we can to keep the space open for safe conversations. One of the things that many of us lack in this community is a space to have a safe conversation. A place where I can ask the most stupid questions and I'm not going to get judged. And it could be on either way, where I'm not going to be forced to see something their way, but give me space to comprehend and to process, because each one of us have our own pace and process of understanding. But I can tell you, I want to ask you, please, don't dismiss this. Don't act like it's in somewhere else, but it's not here. I run with a handful of about 15 to 20 young emerging leaders that are incredible leaders that we're going to hand this city over to. And they see this much more than some of us with gray hair. So I'm going to ask you, please, lean into this. I had the privilege, John Torres and I, on Tuesday, to sit down with a couple of pretty significant leaders in our community, and they wanted to talk about this. And I did say to them again, I love them with compassion, to lean into how they're feeling. Don't dismiss it. Lean into it. Get deeper. And there's a diagram that I want to show you. I'm not the best expert at it, but there's something here that's really helpful to me that I really want to share with you. And then I'm going to put some closing thoughts together here. One thing that has helped me is that, first of all, each one of us have blind spots. We all have blind spots. We all have things that we can't see, or we don't understand, or we don't get it because we just don't see it. And we all have them. And the first thing is to admit that I have blind spots, that you have blind spots. But then the next thing, Mike, hit the button there, is that something happens, or our life experiences train us and train our eyes to see life, a worldview. We see things a certain way, and it marks who we are, whether you like it or not, whether I like it or not, good, bad, and ugly. Life happens and it shapes us. It shapes how we see our world. So when you see a police officer with a shield, some of us might see a protector of law and order. Some of us, and here's the conversation I've had, some of us see a son, but then there's others, because life has happened to them. They see paramilitary, they see weapons, they see all kinds of other things. Or maybe you're close to law enforcement, and so you see thugs and punks and protesters and disruptors. Or you do see people who, when I was growing up, I was screamed at, America, love it or leave it. Because, young people were marching in the streets, and people would say, stop marching. If you don't love America, leave. Well, the truth of it is they were marching because they did love America. But I want to say the first thing is that we have blind spots, and then things happen. And as we grow and mature in all kinds of different ways, we get a view. Go ahead, Mike, the next thing. And so out of that view, we draw conclusions and responses about people, about life. I could be looked at even now, and you could say, oh my gosh, oh, Marvin's Latino, oh, Marvin grew up in West Modesto, oh, so that's why he has that attitude. And we make assumptions about each other all the time. And that's one thing over this last few days that has just grieved me, whether conversations I've had is in all kinds of places, is the assumptions that we all make about each other. Because, Mike, put the next slide on here, because we see something and then we make conclusions, and there's a lot of information that we just don't know about. We fill the unknown information space with old experiences and assumptions. And I'm hearing that conversation quite a bit. Oh my gosh, I'm seeing what's happening on the street. And then they draw conclusions, and there's so much information that they're just unaware of, that I'm unaware of. And as a community, I want to ask you, please, to examine and to lean in, and I say this to myself as well, to lean into your life experience, your history, those lessons that you've learned, good, bad, and ugly, and realize that you and I make conclusions about others and about life through those, and realize that there are lots of information that sometimes you just don't have, but you make assumptions. And then you make decisions out of that, whether it's anger, whether it's pain, depression, whatever it would be. And I want to ask you as my friends to lean into those blind spots, to understand. So a couple of different things I want to say to you. Lean into what you're feeling. I've had friends all this week and late last week. Don't dismiss your feelings. Lean into them. Try to understand what those are about. Don't dismiss them, or don't point fingers and blame. Lean into how you're feeling, whether it's anger, whether it's sadness, whether it's rage, whatever those things are. And then find someone that you trust to have that conversation with. I have a dear friend, and many of you know Carl, but And I have others, Roger, well, I'll say, hey, help me understand. I just don't get it. Show me, tell me. And they've been so terrific. And I have them in all kinds of different sectors. You know, there are times when, you know, I spend numerous times with my friends who are, you know, decision makers, and I will sit down with them and in trust, in quiet, without accusation, say, help me understand why that budget went that way. I had somebody yesterday say, well, this is important to us. I said, really? Well, how come your budget doesn't reflect that? You know, and we're friends, so I can say that. But try to find places and people that you can trust to have hard and uncomfortable conversations. I grew up in a generation where you only had conversations with people that saw life your way and agreed with you. And I want to say to you, men and women, those days are gone. We live in a generation where we must interact with those people who see things differently. Now, it has to be people that give you space and give you processing time to understand and see, but to find people that are different than you, who see things differently. I had a conversation yesterday. I said, go find somebody, and I mentioned the name, go find that person who sees things differently and begin to have a conversation with them. And they're going to do that. And regarding those blind spots, I want to encourage you, and I've really worked hard at this over the last couple of weeks because, man, I am been so guilty of it, to give others the benefit of the doubt. There's just so much information about individuals and human beings that you just don't know, and I just don't know. I don't know their story. Over the last year, we would see homeless people, and again, people with good hearts, I guess, would simplistically say, they just ought to get a job. Or immigrants, they just ought to go back. And just so simplistic answers. We just don't know their story. And I know I can only talk for myself. I've been guilty and I've been wrong because I wouldn't give people the benefit of the doubt. And I want to encourage you to lean into how you're feeling, find safe spaces, and learn to ask questions and to hear the stories of people. Now, you're looking for reasons, not excuses. And you want to be careful, again, with your worldview or my worldview, not to take somebody's reason and turn it into an excuse, because it can be a tightrope walk for all of us. But there's a lot of pain and anguish and misunderstanding, and it's very easy for all of us to jump in and don't give people the benefit of the doubt. But you make assumptions and I make assumptions. And I'm going to encourage you, Stanislaus County, please, let's not do that anymore. Let's not do that with each other and with the quote unquote other person who might see things differently or respond differently. And then I want to encourage us finally to ask questions quickly and answer slowly. Ask questions quickly and answer slowly. I was talking, I'll just say it, I'm a pastor. I was talking to a pastor yesterday and I said, man, we're friends, but you know what? The church does way too much talking and not enough listening. Now, I'm not being critical. Yeah, I'm being critical of the church because I'm a part of it. They're my people. I can do that. But let's ask questions quickly and answer slowly. And the challenges and the things that confront our society and our community are not with simplistic answers. They are complicated and they are intertwined. So I pray that you would even cut some of our civic leaders some slack as they're trying to figure it out. If you don't trust them or you don't give them the benefit of the doubt, sit down with them and civilly and respectfully begin to have those frank, candid conversations with them. You're a citizen. You can do that. So if you got on Catalyst this morning and you thought, oh my gosh, we're talking about the COVID-19 because that's old hat now. That's old news. Well, it's still not. But this systemic racism thing has smacked us in the face. Another virus. And so I'm going to ask you, please, for those of us on this line, I want to continue to exit this season stronger than when we entered. And in this season, when we've been vulnerable, quiet apart, people are exhausted, they're tired, and this isn't an overreaction to a George Floyd incident. This has been a long time coming in another season of this. And I know that we are a group of men and women who are leaders of leaders, and we are influencers. And you and I can influence our little circles of people. because nothing is going to change unless those of us in power and influence take the lead to fill that space and make changes here for us. So I love you. This is tough times. We're in the middle of a virus. We have housing crisis, rent insecurities, food insecurities, job insecurities. Small businesses are losing their jobs. COVID has hit the Latino and the African American community hard. It's rough. And then life said, okay, let's go ahead and do this in systemic racism. I'm a firm believer that no temptation will impact us and confront us that we can't overcome. But the way this is going to overcome is when we look each other in honesty and candidness, in trustworthy relationships, where we say, if this is real, what are we going to do about it? Because I can be responsible for my part. I love you. I got all anxious saying this. I'm not here to take responsibility for your emotional reaction. If you agree or don't agree, I get to look myself in the mirror and know I told you what I thought. Some of you will hear me, some of you won't, but that's really okay. That's not my responsibility. But I want to encourage all of us, please. Lean into your feelings. Find someone you trust that's different than you or might be able to see something different. Give each other the benefit of the doubt. And those others that you might not see, give them the benefit of the doubt. And by the way, I'm going to add another one. Put on your crap detector when you're listening to the news or reading the paper, because they all have different angles, and I'm not bashing the media. But listen, you and I are pretty sharp people. Come on, think about it. Think it through. And then finally, let's ask questions quickly and answer slowly. So, yep, we started this morning looking back at COVID-19. And some of you might have thought, oh my gosh, what are they talking about? There's things that are really happening. Well, we had to trust the process. And I'm just praying and hoping for you that somewhere in the middle of all this morning, you'll have some sense of direction. And yes, it's insecure time. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to encourage you to lean into that insecurity, lean into that fear, lean into whatever you're feeling. It's a good thing. Don't run from it. Embrace it. So I'm not going to look at the chat lines because maybe you're all, whatever you're saying, but I'm just teasing. So I want to give you a couple of different things. This morning, just as we close every morning, would you please schedule some time with someone? I finally got out to have some coffee with somebody outside yesterday, but let's virtually meet them for coffee. Hear their story. Hear their story. Hear their story. And let them tell your story, and be quiet and listen and hear, really hear. I want to encourage you too. There might be something this morning that whether Jody, Ruben, Kristin, even anything I might have made or somebody else in your chat room, to share with one person this week what you learned or what you were challenged with. We're going to continue to create a space in Catalyst here where we can have these kind of conversations. Next month, July, there's a lot of insecurity for parents about what are the schools doing to prepare for my child to go back to school? How can they know, and how can I know whether my child's going to be safe? And even the staff, how's their health going to be safeguarded? Those are questions that are out there. We might come back and we don't know what's going to happen over the next couple of weeks. We're all kind of flying by the seat of our pants and doing the best we can, all of us. But we're at this point today, we're looking at just looking at schools and what are the schools doing to prepare. And I know this morning there's a big meeting with a bunch of superintendents today beginning to align their efforts and coordinate communication. Still a lot of questions out there, so please don't bother them right now. Just let them figure that out. City Minister Network is a faith-based organization. We live by kind gifts from all of you. So I want to encourage you, if you feel up to it, you can go to the CMN website, cityministernetwork.org, and hit the Stripe button for donate and give there. So I'm going to pray for us, and then I'm going to go. Master, we love you. Thank you for these tough seasons. Modesto, Stanislaus County is a tough bunch of men and women. We are tough and we're resilient. I think Jody mentioned it, but we understand clearly that communities that bounce back much more quickly than others have social capital. They have trust relationships. Lord, those trust relationships can only be grown when people have courage to step into spots and rooms in uncomfortable situations or with uncomfortable people. Lord, I pray for all the families that are dealing with the insecurities of food, housing, rent, small businesses and businesses that are struggling. Man, Lord, it has been quite a couple of months. Families that are still sheltered in place because of compromised immune systems. My home is one of them. And then George Floyd reminded us of a virus that has been in our country since its birth, this systemic racism. Master, I'm so sorry that, again, all of our communities, I can't answer for everybody, I can only answer for our community, that somehow we have decided that there are some people that are more worthy than others. I'm so sorry for that. I'm sorry, Lord. And then I say that, and the other, and I thank you that Stanislaus County, as we confront our issues with courage and transparency and honesty, this is going to continue to grow to be a great place to grow up in and to grow old in for everybody, for everybody. In my Lord's name I pray, amen. You all have a good morning.